Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where it's about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season premiere of Killing Eve. A great season premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, a lot of interesting surprises in this episode. Obviously, the opening, I just had an inkling with just the way the person rolled up. I felt like that wasn't even Villanelle's style. I was like, if it was Villanelle, I feel like she probably, I was like, would she have just went in and killed everybody? The fact is just the way of, the whole approach didn't scream Villanelle. There was no professionalism to it. And so it just screamed Eve, and lo and behold, it is Eve. I love that she's able, even though Constantine's in some kind of like mayoral position, she was able to roll up, shoot him in the hand, and bounce like it was nothing. So I guess it would be more trouble than it's worth to go after her. But yeah, I thought that was such a fascinating and interesting start. I also love that's all we got of Constantine this episode. I don't know whether that's supposed to just... I still have yet to watch a trailer. I don't want to know, but, so I don't know if he's in a lot of this season, but I just thought that was kind of an interesting thing. We spend a lot of time with seeing where everyone else is. That's just all we got for Constantine, and it's like, well, I guess he's technically out of the game. To be fair, later on we find out from Carolyn that basically people... there are murders that are happening all around that are related to people who are related, potentially are the 12. So he's not one of the 12, but he's part of all of this too. So I was wondering, like, would someone be coming after him or Villanelle, because they were like Villanelle's top killer. Villanelle was their top killer assassin for a while. So, but I love the whole thing of like, yeah, now Eve is looking for Helen. She's obviously one of the 12, and she's kind of like the crux, the epicenter of all of this. So she also shoots him in the hand mainly because it was for Kenny, which I'm like, hey, some justice, because the bastard got to easily just walk away. Granted, Carolyn did promise, like, no, you need to never be around me again. I'm giving you this second chance, and obviously that stuck with Eve. Granted, she lets him live after getting the information, but I love it's like, oh, what does Helen look like? She looks like a French lady. She looks French. And then Eve just keeps staring at him. He's like, she looks French. And then she just bounces, because he does bring up the whole thing of like, right, like, what are you, like, wouldn't this normally be something Villanelle does? And she is quiet about it, because like, yeah, so what happened between you and Villanelle after we left you in season 3's finale? So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So we now find out that Eve's working for some private security company with Yusef, which they have a working relationship, and they bone it out. Hopefully it doesn't end bad. Most of her working relationships don't work out, because to be fair, like, every season she got around, except with the exception of Carolyn and Kenny, there was new people she was working around every season, which we got one of those people returning, Hugo, because now apparently he's working at the Russia desk, so he's kind of got Carolyn's job. It seemed like it seemed just the fact he's working at the Russia desk seems like he got Carolyn's job. Whether he's at her exact position or not, But regardless, he's the smug bastard he is, just rubbing it in her face. And she's like, right, either you're in the pocket of the 12 the way you're acting so flippant about this, or you are so stupid and smug that you don't realize, like, you're kind of out of your depths here, kid. And he doesn't want to listen, and he's basically telling her to, like, that he could have her arrested, because somehow he ended up getting the footage that she killed Bob. And it's like, I guess he got photos of the crime scene and just assumed Carolyn did it. I don't think he has enough info to say that she did do it, because he was even saying, like, oh, did you do it? Like, there's a good chance she did, but I don't think he has any definitive proof, but it's enough to point every government agency her direction when it comes to Paul's death, so I guess that's enough. Because she's already in a position where she's cultural attaché, and she's not in a position that she was before in the fallout and the aftermath of everything. So I wonder will Geraldine make a appearance this season or not. Once again, I'm getting to the show so late, so obviously there's a couple episodes out by the time I'm recording this, but I also have still yet to see the actual trailer, because why ruin that for myself at this point in time? But so I don't know what to fully expect from this season. I saw like a 30-second promotional thing for it months ago. Other than that, I have no idea what to really even fully expect, and a lot of that was out of context, because at the time I hadn't rewatched season 3, so I didn't really know where we had left off. So, tensions and all that aside, But Eve is kind of using her position with this private security company. I couldn't think of the word. She's using that as an opportunity to not even actually go to work, but to actually spend time looking into the 12 and stuff like that. And Yusuf's kind of got her back. Now, whether it's just because he purely likes her or what, like, he's a lot more, like, on board with a lot of this stuff. And it seems like he's also teaching her some self-defense stuff, too. I thought it was actually kind of cute, the whole, like, self-defense thing they had in you know, out in the park and stuff. It was actually really adorable. It's nice to see her kind of, like, it's weird to say in a healthy relationship, I guess. It's just, things seem good. She's a lot more open with him about what she's doing than she was with Nico. So it seems like everything's kind of up and up. We'll have to wait and see whether it keeps up that way or not. Also, Eve is tearing up the invitation she got from Villanelle because Villanelle is getting baptized. She's trying to go to the most extreme opposite of, like, right, last season didn't want to kill anymore, didn't want to be about that. Granted, still managed to squeeze in one more death by her own hands in that season. I want to say Rian was the last person she killed, if I'm not mistaken. So was able to squeeze in one more death that season by her own hands. And so now she's going to, and to be fair, it's like every time something between her and Eve goes down, she does find herself in, like, different circumstances, whether it's like, oh, she ended up getting engaged after she thought she killed Eve until Dasha found her, and now it's like, oh, now that we pick up with her again, she's trying to get baptized. Everyone thinks like, oh, Nell, you're so good, you're so great. You know, May and her father was just kind of like, who being the priest and stuff, he's just kind of like, I don't know, you could tell he feels that there's something off about Villanelle, but he can't really say anything, considering, like, you can immediately tell that May is completely and utterly smitten by her. Well, rather smitten with her. But Villanelle's trying so hard because she's thinking, like, right, if she gets baptized, it's going to make up for everything. I'm like, that's always a give and take when it comes to, like, you know, I'm not the most religious person, but I would say that's such a complicated thing. It's like, yeah, even if you do the most extreme things, it's kind of like, yeah, Jesus will and God will forgive you if you, you know, ask for forgiveness for your sin despite the terrible, you know, so it's like Villanelle she thinks, for one, it might lead her back to Eve. It's like, because Eve not being there, she even tried to save her. It's like, oh, I want to reserve a seat. And May's dad is like, you can't reserve a seat. That's not how it works. You know, and it's like, right. She wants one very specific person to come to her baptism because she wants to show to Eve, I have changed. I'm not the same person. So, you know, because the whole point was like, right, we walk away from each other and we don't turn back around. But what did they do in this season 3 finale? They turned back around. So how did we get here? Did it turn into a thing of, did even though they look back at each other, did they just make the decision, no, I'm not going to look back again, and they just still continued walking their own ways? And then why is Villanelle still going so above and beyond this show? Like, did something still happen in that time frame between season 3 and 4 that we haven't seen, that makes it so that Eve pushed her away and won't essentially take her back until she's proven, she's like, no, but I can change. I'm not the killer anymore. I can be a different person. And I think that's the funny thing, that despite all that Villanelle tries to do, is actually Eve who ended up kind of a little bit more different. To be fair, their encounters have changed both of them. They've influenced and changed each other so much over the course of this series, so it's interesting to see. They have both changed in their own regard, that when Eve and Villanelle do run into each other this episode, it's just kind of like, yeah, get out of here. Like, oh, cool. And it's like, oh, I forgive you. It was like, you forgive me? Yeah, for not coming to my baptism. Okay, and just Eve walks away, and she's like, you know, and it's like, gets on her knees and Villanelle starts praying for her, and it's just like, no, I want you to leave, you know? If you really had changed, you wouldn't be here right now, Villanelle. And Villanelle's like, if really, then you wouldn't have let me find you. You wouldn't let me be here right now, or whatever. Eve goes over and slaps her and says, I am a different person, and walks away. Because at the end of the day, Villanelle wanting to change, it's like, rather than wanting to change for herself, she wants to change for Eve, because she wants Eve in her life, and she wants to go like, see, I can be different. Like, I want you in my life. Like, I want things to be good between us. It's almost like trying to get your ex back. You want to see how good I am, how great I am? Won't you take me back now, please? It's almost kind of got that desperation to it, because Villanelle's got this void inside of her that she has nothing to fill it with. Obviously, she's avoiding trying to kill, and she's doing everything by the standards of the Bible. She's got verses and stuff memorized. She's eating, because even like Maisie, I was like, you know, it's fine and dandy to follow the Bible, but you don't have to eat like they did. And she's like, no, this is the best way to be good. It's like, rather than just being good, it's like you're playing another role. I mean, what did you ever do as an assassin? You played roles to get close to people, and that's what you're doing right now. And even then, she was talking to May later on. She's like, oh, my friend, that person, she thinks I'm faking it. And then May says, right, you'd have to be like a really, not even the best actress can do that. And it's like, oh, the irony is because Villanelle is the best. She slides into roles like it's, like, you know, slides in and out of that like it's nothing. Like, she shares her skin like crazy. So it's like, right, she's the chameleon that she is, so she's just fitting this new role, thinking like if you pretend long enough, fake it till you make it. Because even May's dad was like, I don't know if I should like baptize you if you don't have faith. She's like, I do have faith. She just wants to but it's like, right, it's coming from the place of, I just want to show someone I can do this. She doesn't even let the whole ceremony happen. She just dunks her own head. And then it's something clicked inside of her. And I don't know whether it was a click of, oh, she felt it, or in that moment, I think it was more like she didn't feel anything. She didn't feel different. She didn't feel anything wash over her. It was just the same. And in that moment, it's like, yeah, like, I'm going to play this role up even more. But presented in front of Eve, it didn't mean anything. The fact is, Eve could slap her and walk away without, you know, it end up into some, like, making out or something like that. Because the last time they had an encounter similar to this, she headbutted Villanelle and then, like, kissed, well, they made out afterward. That was more so her, yeah, like, she kissed Villanelle. Villanelle didn't kiss her, but I'm sure there was some, like, kissing back action going on there, but still. Like I brought up earlier, Carolyn tries to go to Eve, right, I want you to look into this person who's killing people who are most likely the 12. It's like, right, if this is someone going after the 12, I want to know who this someone is, and gives a file to Eve, but Eve wants nothing to do with it, you know, because, you know, Caroline kind of accepted defeat last season. They're like, right, you can't beat something like the 12. It's too big. It's too powerful. She got her revenge. Well, not really. She killed Paul because he was the insider, but also cut all ties with any potential leads that could have led to confronting the 12. So, and that's why Eve is so adamant about going against Helen, finding her, because she's the linchpin to it all. And Carolyn kind of agrees to it. So it's like, right, you know, I will pay you because I have an exorbitant amount of money that I don't know what else to spend it on anyway. It's like, well, you could spend it on your daughter, but once again, I don't know if there's going to be any Geraldine at all this season, but Carolyn's like, right, just take the file then and, you know, do what you will. Which the last time we see Carolyn in this episode, she goes to visit Vlad, which he's like, oh, nice to see you, traitor. It's like, yeah. I want to say when the last time Vlad was in the story was when Eve ended up telling him about, like, oh yeah, that person you thought, all that stuff that people believe that you did, stealing, what was it, some information or something like that, that it was actually Caroline. Like, I guess she has very few people she can turn to under these circumstances. Has very little, I guess, maybe in her mind, in her life now. So, what that all means, we'll have to wait and see. You had Eve tracking down, potentially, the whole point was to also find, like, a new Villanelle. That obviously, I think it was, because at the beginning, Constantine gave her the idea, because he's like, right, I can't help you find the people responsible, but like even Helen and stuff like that, but you could find someone like Villanelle who because Helen takes a personal interest in the assassins and stuff like that, the last one being the one that Villanelle killed, Rion. And so Eve goes to her funeral, goes to the place that like set up her body, and then like the what's her name, Pam, who was taking care of the body, she was kind of acting a little weird. And I love that Eve later on when she was talking to Yusef is like, yeah, I can't put it into words. I'm like, I guess it's just her keen eye being able to see something. I mean, just like she was able to kind of see Villanelle, I guess it kind of plays into her being able to see that little darkness in other people as well. Part of me wonders is like, could it just be like you have your own darkness and your darkness recognizes the darkness in other people, or what? The lady did seem a little off, and luckily it did work out because Eve was able to track her to Helen, but not before like getting like beat up a little bit by her, because she I don't think she recognized it was Eve that was following her. It's like, oh, this is the lady that showed up at the moor. Like, I don't think she recognized that, just like, oh, you're a person following me, and I probably thought like, oh, you're going to mug me or something. But she does see Helen, so now it's like all you got to do is keep tabs on Pam, and that's it. So we'll see how that turns out. Then on the Eve side, I mean the Villanelle side of things, her and May and everything, and May just gushing about what a great person she is. Even the fact is that it's like Villanelle went into her room and was like, hey, I want you to stroke my hair and tell me all the things you like about me. And it's like, oh, you're like the best person I know. It almost sounds like May doesn't know that many people. Her dad wanted her to kind of extend her circle, so it seems like she probably doesn't know that many people to begin with. So her saying like you're the best person she knows might not be as big of a compliment as you assume it to be. But May almost starts trying to kiss her, but she's like, yeah, I know you, you're a good person. And it's like, you don't know me. And Villanelle proceeds to try and drown her. I'm like, okay. Because now she believes, like, right, Jesus, give me a sign, show me that God, show me that you're real. And it's like, right, I knew you weren't. And now it's like, right, I did all this for nothing. What is the point of trying to change when you don't exist? She doesn't have faith. She doesn't believe. So, because she just believes that people who believe in God are good people, which, you know, there's supposed to be a little bit of irony behind that, because there's some people who are terrible people who will justify their terribleness by using God. Not in a shape or form, I'm not saying everyone does that, but there are people who are terrible human beings and try to pretend like, oh, they're good people just because they believe in God. And it's like, that's the irony behind it, I'm sure, to some extent. And now it's like, yeah, Villanelle's kind of proof of that, because she doesn't even really believe, but she's just like, right, believing in God is the good thing to do, so I'm going to do that, just to fit this role I'm playing. But she did stop herself from killing May. Well, almost didn't, but she resuscitated May. She's like, oh my God, I didn't kill you. It's like, yeah, and she's so happy for herself. I'm like, well, I guess that is progress. I mean, I think the progress would have been not attempting to murder her in the first place, which makes going back to her place a little awkward. When, like, you know, I think May came out the shower and sees Villanelle down the hallway and just immediately goes into her room. I'm like, yeah, that is a bit awkward. And then when she goes downstairs, I'm like, who's she going to see? Like, is it going to be, like, Helen, or is it going to be someone from the 12? Like, is it a new assassin? Like, is it going to be Pam? Like, what is it? It's like, no, she sees herself as Jesus. I'm like, that's not what I was expecting. And it's like, oh, it's you. And it's like, oh, yes. And it's like, now I'm going to lead you to salvation. I'm like, oh, you're a little crazy right now, aren't you? And, like, is she going to have, like, that type of stuff happening the entire season? Like, her seeing stuff like that? It's like, oh, that's weird. That's so weird seeing her with, like, the fake facial hair and those boots like that, too. I'm like, and looking, you know, she's supposed to be looking like Jesus, but still, like, that's so weird, because she's projecting herself, because the Jesus version of herself still has a Russian accent. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see where that ends up taking us going forward. I'm excited to see where the next episode takes us. Like I said, at this point in time, like, a lot more of the episodes are out, but I'm still watching each one at a time. So I'm excited to see where this takes us going forward. This seems like it might be the wildest season, with just, like, the craziness that we're already being presented with just first episode alone. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But really, that's all I want to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.